In the last video, we worked on a multiplication problem, and we used 4 different strategies to solve that problem. We did an open number line, a tile array, a ratio table, and an area model. We're going to use those same 4 strategies to solve a division problem. As we know, a division problem is really just kind of like the reverse of multiplication, or a multiplication problem when you're trying to find one of the missing components. So for instance, if you had 2 times 3 equals 6, you could also look at that problem as division. 6 divided by 3 equals 2, or 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So again, we're going to work those 4 strategies in reverse and use them to solve a division problem. So here's the problem. An airplane can board 36 passengers, and each row sits 4 people. So how many rows are on the plane? Okay, so let's start with an open number line. And again, open number line is just a way of kind of skip counting. So we're basically going to skip count by 4s until we get to 36, because we know there's 4 people in each row, and we're just going to kind of go row by row until we hit 36. So we start at 0, we add 4, which will get us to 4, then we add another 4, gets us to 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, just keep going until it hit 36, 32, 36. And so now I've hit my target, because again I said I knew that there's 36 passengers, so now I just need to see, okay, well how many rows was that? Okay, so we've got 1 row, 2 rows, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the answer is 9. There must be 9 rows on this airplane in order to have a total of 36 passengers. Okay, so now we're going to use the ratio table to solve the same problem. Again, there's a plane with 36 passengers, 4 people in each row. How many rows total? So I'm going to set up my ratio table. This is going to be number of rows, and this is going to be number of passengers. Okay? So we know that if there's 1 row, we've got 4 passengers, and again we're trying to get to 36. So we know the number of passengers is 36. What we're trying to figure out is how many rows is that. Okay? So 2 rows is going to get me to 8. 3 rows is going to get me to 12. Now again, we talked about before, the whole kind of purpose of using a ratio table is to kind of be able to take shortcuts once you recognize those patterns. So I'm seeing now that to get from 12 to 3, I could triple that, okay? Because I know that 12 times 3 is 36. So if I'm tripling the number of passengers, I would also have to do the same thing over here and triple the number of rows. So if 3 rows is 12 passengers, and I triple to 12, then I've got to triple to 3 to find how many rows that is. So 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. And so I just kind of skipped all those steps in between because I recognized that pattern, so I was able to jump ahead. And so now I see that, oh, well, if I've got 36 passengers, then the number of rows column, that's going to be 9. So I know that my answer is 9. All right, so now we're going to use a tile array to solve the same problem. So we know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 people in a row, and we know that there's a total of 36 passengers. So we know this side. What we're really just trying to figure out is how many tiles we need to go over before we hit 36. Okay, so if I go over 1 tile, that gets me 4. Right? If I go over another tile, that would get me 8. Okay, if I go over another tile, that gets me 12. Okay, so I keep going. 16, 20, 24, 32, and finally 36. So now I've completed my tile array, and now I just kind of need to figure out, okay, well, how many times did I have to go over? How many tiles did I have to add on that top dimension before I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? Of course, you can go back and finish the drawing if you want. But this is how you'd use a tile array to kind of work your way across. Okay, so now we're finally going to use an area model to solve the same problem. So we know that one of the dimensions of our rectangle is going to be 4, because that's how many people are in a row. What we don't know is this dimension of the rectangle. We just know that it's going to total up to 36. So basically we're just going to keep piecing our rectangle together in chunks until we get to 36. So I could do 4 and let's say you know that 4 times 5 is 20. So you could work your way 5 over and that gets you to 20. Now remember you're trying to get to 36, so I'm not quite there yet. So let's do another 3. I know that 3 times 4 is 12. Okay. So now I'm at 20 plus 12, that's 32. So I'm really close to 36, and in fact I know that I just need to add one more. So I just go one more over, and 4 times 1 is 4. So now I've created 3 separate rectangles, and when I add them up I've got 20 plus 12 is 32, plus 4 is 36. So I worked my way across in chunks that I was familiar with until I got to 36. And now all I have to do is add up these numbers to get the missing dimension. 5 plus 3 plus 1 is 9. So we know that 4 times 9 equals 36. And so there are 9 rows on the airplane. So now as we zoom out, we can kind of see the 4 different strategies that we used to solve this problem. We started with an open number line, then we went to a ratio table, and then we came down here and used a tile array, and then finally we used an area model. And so all 4 of these are strategies that will work if you're trying to solve a division problem.